I'm telling you, man, that intro hits every single time. Greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Andrew Kiorkof, and welcome to our Tuesday night, I guess, live stream for August 20th, 2024. Welcome. Hope you guys are doing well. Of course, for the next hour and a half plus, I'll be answering all fantasy, football related questions that you guys have in the chat. Again, I already have the chat up to the right side of the screen, primarily because I'm trying to help you guys, of course, as you approach your upcoming draft, or if you have any questions regarding, if you've already drafted and you want to review your team, or potentially you're already looking to try to make some trades, we can always talk about that. But either way, over the course of today's live stream, we will conduct some drafts via Underdog Fantasy. We'll also go ahead and answer as many questions as I possibly can. If you guys do ask a question, please be sure to go ahead and include your scoring format, because that definitely makes a huge difference in terms of the potential of what my answer could end up being, really. Because, a standard league compared to a full PPR league, we're talking about two different worlds in terms of the potential approach that you have in your draft. Outside of that, hope you guys are doing well. Again, if you haven't yet already, do me a favor, click the like button down below, and let's get into answering questions, shall we? I want to scroll up just a tad bit here. I do appreciate you guys saying what's up as per usual. BZ, what's up? All right, so let's see here. Steve said, Andrew, in my home league, who do I draft at the 1.02? Christian McCaffrey is going first. Again, it depends what your scoring format is. Under the assumption, let's say we're playing half PPR, you can go about it in many of ways. I think considering the CeeDee Lamb holdout, considering the potential that he could end up missing maybe a week, I don't know, it depends. We'll have to wait and see how that transpires. With the uncertainty there, if you're in a half PPR, I could live with going Tyreek Hill or Breece Hall there. Or you could just take CeeDee Lamb and just hope that he ends up getting, the contract that he wants and he signs. So there's really three ways of approaching it. You can either go with the running back, you can go with a wide receiver, or you can go with the riskier wide receiver that, again, still does not want to play because of what is going on via his contractual obligations, which, again, somebody I know mentioned earlier, I think it was Jonathan Rife in the chat, was talking about Jamar Chase. Yeah, the panic button, we're getting close to it. We're on DEFCON. What's the riskier one? Is DEFCON 5 or DEFCON 1 which one's closer to danger? That's the real question in this scenario. All right, let's see here. To the chat. It says Noah Sons. Just did a 12-team PPR from the 6th spot overall. Very well. I ended with Kyler, Achane, Aaron Jones, Chase, Puka, DK, Bowers. And as my starters, how did I do? Benches Chase Brown, Rico, Polk, Jalen Wright, Godwin, and Palmer. I mean, really at this point, with the Chase Puka start at 1.06, I mean, in a 12-team league, I don't think you could have asked for a better. I mean, you could have asked for a better start. There's better stuff, right? But Puka Nacua should be going at the end of the first, beginning of the second. Obviously, the Chase factor, the contract, Puka, the knee factor, all of that kind of attributed to the fact that you've landed with the potential here. Sorry if I wasn't looking at or wasn't presenting it earlier, the correct question. But ultimately, the fact that you're able to get those two players to begin with on top of Devon Achane, and then you still continue to go back in for wide receiver, considering it's a 3 wide receiver league, and you get DK Metcalf, another stable option at the position. I don't mind having Aaron Jones as my number 2 running back. I don't mind having Brock Bowers as my number 1 tight end. We know he's going to be top 12. Kyler's a solid top 8 quarterback with rushing upside, which we always want associated with our quarterbacks. And of course, we have incredible potential on the bench. Chase Brown could be the starter for Cincinnati. Rico Dowdle could be the starter for the Dallas Cowboys offense. Polk can be the number 1 wide receiver of the New England Patriots. Jalen Wright, if anything happens to Achane, you have the handcuff. You're ready to go. Godwin, I think Godwin's going to be significantly better this season in comparison to last. And Joshua Palmer, one of my favorite sleepers, if not my favorite sleeper going into the season. So I'm pretty happy with that team, and I think you should be as well. Do you prefer James Cook or Rashad in a half PPR? In a half PPR, I'd still take Rashad White. Yeah. Thank you for the question. By the way, tomorrow I'll have my updated top 45 running back rankings out. It'll probably drop tomorrow afternoon, probably at noon PST. So keep an eye out for that. For those of you who are drafting this upcoming weekend, I'll continue to drop updated rankings at all the positions so that you're prepared and ready to go. All right, let's see. How would you think about pick 8 in a half PPR draft? There seems to be a consensus top 8 but scared a bit about JJ because of Darnold. Yeah, listen, I think my favorite picks typically, like I've mentioned over the course of the last couple live streams, is pick 1.03 all the way up to 1.08. Because again, yeah, that top 8 is beautiful. If I can get Justin Jefferson in my first round and then be able to follow it up with a second round selection, perhaps somebody like Kyron Williams, I think that's an incredible start. I wouldn't worry about Justin Jefferson. I know that Sam Darnold hasn't shown because he hasn't really been given opportunity. He played for San Francisco last year. He played in one game at the back end of the season. And even in that game, Ayuk, Debo, they left after the first quarter. He hasn't been able to be put in an offense as a starter for quite some time. The last time was at the back end of the 2022 season with the Carolina Panthers, and I think he looked good. And I think what Kevin O'Connell does is he improves quarterback play, and with all the weapons that will surround Darnold, he'll be just fine. I think JJ has already proven last season, in the last 4 games of the year, averaging 18 fantasy points per game and a half PPR, that he's certainly capable, regardless of who the quarterback was, who he played with Nick Mullins and, of course, Jaron Hall as a starter. Regardless of that quarterback, he is going to be a value, and really shouldn't be afraid of it. But I understand the hesitation. I clearly 100% do. If you'd like to go elsewhere, I guess the next best would be Jonathan Taylor, but I think I'd still rather have JJ there. Anonymous says 14-team half PPR keeper. Is it worth drafting Kelsey with my second round pick or keeping Ferguson for my last year as my 14th? Ooh, or both. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to keep Kelsey there, or I'm not going to draft Kelsey in a 14-teamer in the second round. Regardless of where you're picking, if you are drafting Kelsey as a top 28 player in a 14-team league, I think in a specifically even in a half PPR, you're potentially overdrafting his ceiling. Like Kelsey in 2022 had 250, 260 fantasy points in a half PPR. I think those days of Kelsey are over. I don't think he'll be able to reach that level of success once again, especially with all the weapons within this offense elevating and, of course, giving diversity to Patrick Mahomes' passing attack and who he can target and how he can dice up defenses. So I don't know if Kelsey's really worth the investment there. I think keeping Jake Ferguson as your 14th, round pick is kind of a steal, unless you have another keeper option. Would you trade Kyron Williams for? I think that's instead of Zach Cook, you mean James Cook, or is it Zach Moss? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Let's just say let's say that's James Cook and Nico Collins. Would I trade let's say, for example, Kyron Williams consensus based on his ADP is early second round, right? So would I trade a second round pick for James Cook, Nico Collins, which by all intents and purposes in a normal league that's not a best ball draft, Nico and James Cook should be both gone by the 4th round? I mean, let me see here. Let me open up a tab here. So if I go boom, let's open this up. Let's see these ADPs. Like if I'm trading a second for a 3rd and a 4th round pick, I'll take the 3rd and the 4th, under the assumption that, of course, you need that depth. If you have a 3 starting wide receiver league and Nico Collins will fill in as your number 3, and then you can still get James Cook, that's a steal. I absolutely would love to do that. But I'm actually curious. Based on ADPs right now, let's see here. James Cook. Where art thou, Mr. James Cook? James Cook, based on, I'm looking at a sleeper draft that I did with actual people the other day. James Cook went in the 4th. Where's Nico Collins in this scenario? Let's see. Nico Collins is off the. Nico Collins went in the 3rd. Yeah, so you're trading a second round pick for a 3rd and a 4th round pick, and I'll take the 3rd and the 4th round pick. I think there's more value to be had there with extra depth on the team. Kendrick says, I have the 5th pick in a PPR league. Would you go Hall, Brown, Jefferson, Bijan, or another top receiver if they fall? Hall, I'm assuming that's Brown as in St. Brown. Okay, so out of these options, in a full PPR, it's either Hall or St. Brown. As it currently stands, I could go either way. Considering, I don't know how many, what is this? You're the 5th pick. I don't know what kind of, let's say, for example, it's a 12-team league. If it is a 12-team league, I'll probably I'll be happy taking St. Brown there. If you want to take the running back in Breece Hall, I have no issue with it at all. But yeah, I'd rather just have St. Brown in the full PPR format. Okay, I did see there's a couple super chats sent in, so we're going to go ahead and address those really quickly. I'm going to go bring this chat down, and let's address some of these super chat questions. Infinity and Bijan. Nice to see you. Of course, recognize that name as per usual because it always makes me laugh. Says, hey, Andrew, in a 12-team full PPR league, my team is Kyler, Kamara, Brees Hall, Najee Harris, Tyjae Spears, Javonte Williams, Drake London, Olave, Rashee Rice, Metcalf Neighbors, Ferguson. Make any moves? No. Listen, Infinity and Bajan. Here's the thing. I don't know. I'm looking at this draft, right? Brees Hall's your first pick. Drake London's your second. Olave's your third. You managed to still get probably, I want to say, is that Metcalf or Neighbors in the fourth? But where you got Kamara and Najee Harris just objectively are steals. How is this a 12-man league? What is going on? I don't understand what happened. I don't understand it. For all the 12-team league drafts I have done or conducted this offseason, whether they're mocks or actual league drafts, I'm confused as to how you got so much depth. So if you'd like, you can absolutely grab 2 players from one of those positions and go make a huge upgrade. Like you take Rashee Rice and Metcalf and you go and try to upgrade to a better wide receiver. You could do that because then you'd still have London, Olave, and Neighbors, but you're just going in and bringing in another more stable potential option. You going after, you can make some moves. You really could. I think that's probably the plan of action. You take 2 running backs or 2 wide receivers, or maybe take one of each and just go and try to make a huge upgrade there because you have way too much depth than you should. Moving on to Benny G's question. Benny, how's it going? Benny says, I'm in a full PPR league. Would you have Caleb and Jaden and improving RB/wide receiver quality, or is it too risky to run 2 rookie QBs? Okay, hold up. Would you have Caleb and Jaden and improving RB/? I don't understand. Okay. The question's a little bit cooked. So I'm going to try to decipher the cooked question to the best of my ability here. So if I understand you correctly, you're basically just asking, is it okay to have Caleb and Jaden Daniels as your 2 starting quarterbacks in a regular league? Which I say absolutely, it's fine. I've talked to you guys about the potential for success for rookie quarterbacks who have won a Heisman Trophy, who entered the NFL in their rookie years. There's only been one quarterback who has started fully their rookie season over the course of the last 10 Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks. There's only been one that came into their rookie year and didn't average over 17 fantasy points per game. That one player being Bryce Young last season. So really, I have no question as to whether or not we're going to see success from Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels. The data speaks to the fact that they will probably find a lot of success, and the talent that surrounds them in terms of receiving options certainly will continue to elevate them. And they also have rushing upside. So I have no problem with that at all. Max sends in a super chat. He says the following: 1 point per reception for wide receivers. We have Lamb, DK, Pickens, McConkey. Wicks. Running backs are Achane, Stevenson, Spears, Dowdle. Tight ends are Andrews, and we have Kyler Murray at quarterback. Is it a decent team? I think it's based on the fact that you started with Lamb in the first, I'm assuming your second round selection was Achane. Then where I begin to get confused is to basically where is your third round pick? Lamb, DK, Pickens, McConkey, Wicks, Achane, Stevenson. Yeah, your third round pick. The fact that I can't determine who it is, and I'm assuming your third round pick is either Mark Andrews or DK Metcalf, that is a little bit worrisome. Maybe you forgot to type in a player's name here, but for a 1 point per reception league, I don't see where your third round pick went. That scares me because the rest of it, I can see where they kind of landed out. So that's basically where I'm at in terms of my analysis on this team there, Max. Okay, let's see here. Crony says, make a bold proclamation for a player you have on your sleeper, on your favorite sleeper this season. Give final season stat line. No generic cliche takes either. I don't understand what. Okay, so you basically want me to pick a player and say that they're going to go massive this year. Yeah, if I talked about this, I think even yesterday. My biggest bold take is that I think Jonnu Smith is going to be a top 15 tight end. Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if Jonnu Smith finishes as a top 12 tight end. I have him ranked in like the 20s, but that's my guy. Like if I'm getting a second tight end on roster and I'm going to gamble to see if he can pop off, I'm taking Jonnu Smith. And I don't mind getting burnt on it. That's the guy that I'm going for. I think he's got a vast, potential for opportunity in terms of targets within that offense. And I know that Mike McDaniel, he is slowly but surely every season integrating more opportunity to some of these different positions. 2022 was wide receiver, 2023 was running back. This is the year for tight end. He is a disciple of the Kyle Shanahan tree. We know how they use Kittle in that offense. Jonnu Smith can very easily be utilized within that kind of a role. So that's the bold prediction I'll make in this scenario. Let's see here. Solomon Reyes sends in a super chat. Says, did my draft this weekend. Only time all the boys could get together. That's fine. 14-team PPR league. From the number 2 spot, we have Christian McCaffrey. Wow. You have Lamar Jackson, Javonte Williams, Pickens, Ridley, and Andrews. Okay, so this is another team where I'm wondering who the heck was your second round pick in a 14-team league. Okay, your second round pick, Solomon, is pick 27? You have pick number 27. Who's your second round pick? It's not Lamar. It's not Mark Andrews. It's not Javonte. It's not Pickens. It's not Ridley. So where's your second round pick? That's my confusion. This is where we're beginning to see a lot of this. Yeah, I don't even know where the heck that is. I'm curious. Same thing with when I was talking to Max earlier. I was curious, where the heck was that pick? Max says DK was my 3rd pick. Andrews was my 4th. Wow, DK in the 3rd seems so early. Did wide receiver just disappear? Like Mark Andrews in the 4th, I have no problem with. I think DK in the 3rd is that's my issue. Like if you're drafting a 3rd round wide receiver, they've got to finish in that top 15. They've got to. But hey, I mean, listen, if you think DK Metcalf's going to be that guy this year, then let's go for it. I don't have an issue with it. It's just that was my only confusion on the approach. Let's see here. Okay, now that we took care of that, Speak Your Piece says, do you like Chase or JJ right now? Again, the closer we get to September and the fact that Chase has not signed a contract, I'm slowly getting closer to rather having JJ on my team because I don't want the issue of Jamar. And I know how this Cincinnati Bengals organization works. They truly do not want to sign players in the offseason. And here we go. Jamar Chase is going to force their hand. It's pretty much a game of chicken. It's basically, hey, do you guys want to win? Because I don't need to play this year. I'm Jamar Chase. I'm the guy that, my final year of college, I sat out because I didn't need to play. I won the national championship the year before. I wasn't eligible, but I went ahead and I took a whole year off just to chill. Like he'll do it again. I don't think they should mess with Jamar in this scenario, but we might get there. So slowly but surely we're getting there. We've got, again, another 11 days till, September. And yes, it is beginning to scare me, but I think we'll be okay. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. All right. Blake Crispin sent a super chat. Thank you, Blake. Said in a 10-team half PPR, 3 wide receiver, 1 flex league, I have the 10th pick. Love the Patreon, by the way. Thank you very much. Would you take Gibbs with injury or A.J. Brown? In a half PPR, let me think about this one. Okay, so this is what my thought process is. If you have the 10th pick in a 10-team league, I take them both. I mean, I really would. At this point, like, if A.J. Brown's sitting there, I think A.J. Brown, again, solid option. You're able to address that wide receiver position. You could even go double RB, but I think just to be safe in terms of having kind of the balance of your roster going forward and the fact that there are so many running backs that fall into the 4th round that shouldn't be there, I'd take them both. And I don't have a problem with Gibbs there. The thing is, I doubt that after the first 10 selections, 10 selections, right? Let's say the top 8 are gone, okay? Let's say Taylor goes 9. You're at 10, okay? You have A.J. Brown available. A.J. Brown and Saquon would probably be the preferred in terms of the highest ranked players I have at those positions. But if you don't want to double stack up Eagles, then yeah, Gibbs would be your next best option there. Otherwise, you could go Garrett Wilson with Saquon. That's the only other alternative. But I don't mind taking both Gibbs and AJ Brown. I'm not worried, or I'm not too worried about it. Let's see here. How valuable is quarterback in a 6-point per passing touchdown league and in a standard scoring 12-man league? 6-point per passing touchdowns, in that kind of format, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes should be first-round selections. And as you get to the late first round, early second round, I think Jalen Hurts should absolutely come off the board. Other quarterbacks that are very passing-oriented, especially guys that are throwing a bunch of passing touchdowns, 31, 32 plus, Stroud, Burrow, those kind of guys, in my mind, would be far more valuable than the heavy rushers, like an Anthony Richardson to that extent, Kyler Murray's. So as of the late first, I'd still be willing to even jump into the conversation, then grab the alternative position, like a running back or a wide receiver, and pair it up and let it go. I really do think based on all of the 6-point per passing touchdown leagues I've ever played in, quarterback really is like the make or break within that year, especially if you can get a quarterback with all the injuries that we've seen over the course of the last couple of seasons here. If you can get one that is staying healthy on a consistent basis, a la Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, if you can get one of those guys, Stroud, I would not even bat an eye. I'd be fine with it. Michael sends in a super chat. Thank you, Michael. Says in a keeper league, Breece Hall is mine at the 3.10, 10-man league. Who would you take at the 110 and the 2-1? I have no idea who else is available. If you're keeping Breece Hall, I'd assume there are a lot of other great players being kept already. But if you're in a league in which 10 teams, you're getting Breece Hall in the third. If I'm you, I'm probably starting double wide receivers. Unless somebody like Kyron Williams is somehow still available, which I doubt that would be the case. I'm thinking if everything gets pushed down the board, I'd probably start double wide receivers at the end of the first, beginning of the second. Take Breece in the third as your keeper. Then to start the fourth, I'm either going tight end under the assumption potentially it has fallen to you, or I'm grabbing that second running back there. But I probably start double wide receivers unless there is some crazy value at running back that is still available. That in a PPR league, I'd be convinced to just ditch the running back position within those first two picks. Okay, let's see here. Solomon had followed up, said, I took Lamar and Andrews at the 2-3. Oh, geez, Louise, brother. Allen, Mahomes, Hurts, Stroud, Kelsey, Laporta, all gone before. Wow. Okay, that is... Again, this is, I will say objectively, I have not seen that. Definitely a different turnout than what I would have expected. But I guess, in order to kind of keep up with the trend, you took a top 4 quarterback and you took a top 3 tight end. So, I mean, again, I don't know. If it's me, I would have done differently. But I would have done differently. But let's hope Lamar continues his MVP reign, and of course, Mark Andrews this season can continue his success from last year and stay healthy. How do you decide between Olave, London, and Devontae? How does your first round pick affect that decision? I don't think the first round pick determines whether I'm taking one of these 3. I think your just overall mindset, let me scroll back up, Detox, your overall mindset on how you want to draft kind of determines who you take between those 3. If you're looking for the safer player that is just going to get you a solid top 12 season, like you play Devontae there. If you're looking for, I guess, more upside and the riskier player, you go for London. I would never touch Olave there. I would never touch Olave in the second round. In the third round, I have no issue with it. But in the second, I'd much rather have Devontae in London. I think that the volume of, just generally speaking, the volume of targets are not going to, I'd hope that they'll be close, but I don't think Olave's garnering 160 targets here. I don't think that's going to happen. I'd love it to be the case, but quite frankly, I don't see it happening. Rico Dowdle or Trey Benson, I'd rather have Rico Dowdle. I'd rather have somebody that could be the starting running back of the Dallas Cowboys. That's probably my thought process at the moment. Hey, Andrew, offer Drake London for Derrick Henry in a 12-team PPR keeper league. My other keeper is Tyreek Hill. Should I do it? Being offered Drake London for Derrick Henry. I think it really depends. If Derrick Henry, in my mind, is it a PPR? Yeah, it's PPR. I'll take Drake London there. I don't have a problem with it. And honestly, you can keep Drake London in future seasons if he can, if he pans out as we anticipate him to. If he pans out, then you keep him for multiple seasons and then you're good to go. Derrick Henry, again, he's getting to the end of his career. And honestly, in a full PPR, I probably would take Drake London before I take Derrick Henry. If it was a half PPR, it'd be a different conversation. I'm going to be drafting in a Superflex keeper league. I already have Breece Hall in my third round. Get the first overall selection. Would you take Christian McCaffrey to pair it up with Breece, or am I taking a quarterback? Ah, gosh. Wow. Would I take McCaffrey, or do I take a QB and pair it with Breece Hall at the 1.01? My philosophy is always take quarterback in a Superflex in that first round. That's my philosophy. You can go about it differently, but that's the way I approach it. If you can take Christian McCaffrey and you're playing in a league in which you believe that 12 quarterbacks will not disappear before your second round pick, I don't mind having my number one quarterback be Jaden Daniels if I have Christian McCaffrey and Breece Hall. But if you're going to play in a league where by the time it gets to your second pick, those 23 picks have elapsed and the best available quarterback is Jared Goff as your number one in a super flex, I couldn't live with it. I can't. So I think it's just you determining what your league is capable of and how much they value the quarterback position based on prior seasons of their drafting tendencies to kind of determine where you can go. Because ultimately, my typical approach is I'm going quarterback in the first in a super flex. All right, let me scroll to the bottom here. I know somebody else has sent in a super chat. Actually, let's take that. Okay. We're good to go. Getting back to some of these questions. Hey, what is the strategy? 12-team redraft league. It just depends what pick you are. Really, it does. This is very much so pick dependent. Like if you're in the back end of the first round, it's a completely different approach than if you're sitting at the 1.01. Because there's more things to consider as to, you get technically 2 of the top 13 players at the back end of the first round of a 12-team league. But how you construct that team is very, very specific as to how you'll approach the rest of your draft henceforth. Hey, Andrew, I drafted yesterday. I'm not happy about my picks. Hey, listen, it happens. That's why you got to play in multiple leagues, just in case, you have a bad draft. You can just continue to at least diversify, have more drafts, and hopefully, look, that's the thing. If you guys play in one league, there's a higher chance that you may end up having a horrible injury take place to one of your star players, and then for the rest of the year, from September to January, you're just, you can't even watch, football. You're depressed. You're like, oh, what the heck am I supposed to do? My team sucks, So I always tell people to continue to play in more leagues. Pittman or Pittman or DK Metcalf, full PPR. I'd rather have DK. Very slightly, but I'd rather have DK. Reason Christian McCaffrey is available because we don't allow you to keep the first or second round. Okay, got it. Understood. Picking wide receiver at the 1.3. If I go running back in the second and third, the options would be Etienne, Pacheco, Josh Jacobs, Achane, or Henry, full PPR in order. I mean, honestly, if these are the available options, I probably go like Achane first, Etienne second, Pacheco third. Yeah, that's Enrique. That's the kind of approach that I'd make. What is this? Okay, cool. Curtis Samuel scares me with his injury history. Curtis Samuel just got injured the other day, didn't he? I'm pretty sure he got injured the other day. I don't know what the extent of how long he could miss for is, but we'll see. Oscar says, quarterback is Josh Allen, Kyren Williams, Rashad White are my running backs. Tyreek Hill, Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, Flex is Kamara, McLaurin. Any players you are skeptical about? Yeah, Christian Kirk more often than not right now. I think Terry McLaurin can perfectly fit in as your wide receiver too, but Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram on the same team kind of scare me. Because they honestly they dig into each other's work. That is the issue. They pretty much are vying for the same targets, which scares me. But outside of that, I think it's a really solid team. The fact that you're able to get Tyreek in the first, Kyren Williams somehow falls to you in the second, you still end up getting, again, Rashad White, Alvin Kamara, that in a full PPR format are 2 of the most valuable backs you could possibly get because of the receiving upside. They don't have to have a touchdown within their overall, box score, and they can still be top 12 at the position by the end of a given week. You have a number 1 overall quarterback, Evan Ingram. I think he's going to take a little bit of a couple steps back this season because there'll be more target competition with Christian Kirk back. But yeah, I mean, I have no problem with this team. Pretty solid. Let's see here. Darth Raider says, in a keeper league already, I have Chase and Henry as my keepers and have the number 1 draft pick. With Garrett Wilson, Saquon Barkley both available, who do I draft? If it's me and it's if it's a full PPR, I'd probably take Garrett Wilson. If it's a half PPR, I'd probably go Saquon. If it's a 2 wide receiver league, I'd feel even more confident taking Saquon there. If it's a 3 wide receiver league that can start or multi-flex, I'd consider the Garrett Wilson play there. Andrew, I'm in a 10-team keeper league. My keepers are Bijan, CeeDee Lamb, and Drake London. Okay, here we go. And I have the 3rd pick in the draft with Marvin Harrison, Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley available. What do you think? I mean, at this point, if I'm you, I hope Jonathan Taylor's available. If he's not, I take Saquon. That's kind of the direction I'm leaning in there. I just grab one of those running backs. I'd be happy with either of the two. Oscar, thank you very much again for the super chat. How do we feel about 3 RBs, first 3 picks in a 10-man league? I don't trust it. Look, you'd have to hit on every single one. And the history of fantasy football and the ability to be able to pick and select 3 running backs in the first 3 rounds who all hit are all going to live up to the draft capital you utilize on them, and they all stay injury-free is so rare that is what makes selecting specifically that kind of volume of running back early so dangerous. I scroll back up really quickly because Alan has asked something. So he said, like, what strategy should I run? 0 RB hero or double hero? It depends. If you're picking at the back end of the first round, I have no issue. I think double RB is not a problem, right? The only issue ever exists when you're reaching for running backs. Like if I'm sitting in the first round, okay, I'm at 1.06 and I have Breece Hall available. I'm taking Breece Hall. If in the second round, Kyron Williams is still available, I don't mind at all in my life taking those 2 guys because, again, those are 2 of the 7 best running backs you could have going into this year. So double hero is not an issue at all. It's only ever when you're playing in a league that, again, is relatively sharp and they're not allowing players to drop to you in that capacity where maybe you'd have to then position yourself to take that hero RB strategy of grabbing a wide receiver in the second, once again in the third, tight end in the fourth, and then we'll go and reinvest into a running back in the 5th round, Alvin Kamara. Keep it moving. Let's go back to the bottom. Josh Jacobs' opinion. What do you mean by opinion? I have him as my number 12th ranked or number 11th or 12th ranked running back going into the season in a half PPR. I feel relatively confident that he could still be number 12 or 13 in a full PPR. As long as he stays healthy, there's really no problem with it at all. The offense has already proven over the course of the last 5 years with their head coach LaFleur, with Aaron Jones, that they can support an RB1. They spent all of that money in order to bring in Josh Jacobs into the organization. So they know he's a talent. We know he's a talent. He's not that old. He's 26. Again, when we're talking about running back success rates in terms of being top 12 at the position, the pure prime age gap is 22 to 26. That's about 70+% of the RB1s by the end of the season over the course of the last 5 years. Actually, over the course of the last 10 years. The 70+% range has sat between 22 to 26. Sorry, I think it's 23 or 20. No, I think it is 22 to 26. That's what we want. And Josh Jacobs is just on the edge of that. And we still got, we have guys like Saquon, who's 27. Christian McCaffrey, who's 28. Derrick Henry, who's 30. Alvin Kamara, who's 29. There's a lot of older backs, but those guys, they're special. They're completely different. But nonetheless, Josh Jacobs, I have no issue having him as my RB1 in this season, especially considering he's dropping down draft boards very quickly. Andrews at 4.03 a reach. I don't think so. Look, here's the thing about 4.03. If you don't select Mark Andrews there, by the time the draft comes back to you in the 5th round, Mark Andrews and most likely Trey McBride are gone. So Sam Laporta and, of course, Kelsey already taken off the board. So taking him at 4.03, I don't feel it to be a crazy reach. I think you're basically you're shooting your shot. You're saying, even though this guy could be selected 7 picks from now, I know he's not coming back to me, but I need him on my team because I believe in him. So I don't have an issue with that. Let's see here. Follow up on another league. I already have CJ Stroud as my keeper. Should I draft a better wide receiver in Drake London or draft Nico for the stack? I'd go with Drake London. I'm not too eager on stacks. Michael says, in my home league, is 6 point per passing touchdown. I take a QB early. I usually like to wait. Should I take a QB early? Depends. Again, look, here's the thing, guys. You know your leagues better than I do. I don't play in your leagues, right? In my leagues, in which I play with either Superflex or even one quarterback per league, but it's a 6 point per passing touchdown, the quarterback position really does come off the board quickly, in my experience. Now, in your experience, it could be completely different. Your leagues, because 6 point per passing touchdown format is so normal, and no one really bats an eye on the potential value of those top, tier quarterbacks, specifically the top 3 or 4. Because of that, there may be a little bit of a difference in terms of how teams in your league approach it and how they draft and how they value the position as a whole. So if you're someone that likes to wait on quarterback and it's found success for you in the past, Michael, then continue as such. Address other positions, then jump into the quarterback conversation once you feel comfortable doing so. But if it's me, again, like if I'm sitting, oh man, it's tough for me to pass up on quarterback, especially if I know I can get a quarterback like Allen or Mahomes that are going to put up 450 to 500 points. Like it's just, they're going to win me weeks consistently. Your favorite rookie this year? Okay, so I'm not going to cop out. I'm not going to say Marvin Harrison Jr. My favorite rookie this year is Brian Thomas Jr., another junior. I think Brian Thomas Jr. is actually the real deal. Pittman or DK Metcalf, full PPR? Yeah, I think we answered this already. I'd go with DK. All right, let's see here. Andrew, can you go back and see my picks? I put them in the chat. Give me your thoughts on them. Yeah, it's right here. I see it. AJ Brown, Kyron Williams, Olave, James Cook, Christian Kirk, Zamir White, Prescott, 10-team league. Okay, so AJ Brown into Kyron, into Olave, into Cooks. I love it. Prescott, let's hope. Let's hope. What I mean by let's hope is let's hope that CeeDee Lamb signs. Also, let's hope that he can be 80% of what he was last year. I'm not saying that he's going to diminish his overall play. I just think that there's a chance that this offense that has made really no moves could get stale. I mean, if anything, they got worse at running back, in my opinion. So as an offense, maybe they'll be in far more shootouts, which could be more beneficial to Dak Prescott, but we'll have to wait and see. Outside of that, Zamir White, if you're playing in a full PPR, it scares me. I'd probably rather have Tony Pollard in a full PPR, but if it's a half PPR standard, I have no issue there because, again, he's going to get himself somewhere between, I want to say, 16 to 18 touches per game, and that is a lot of value, especially at a running back that is being taken as late as he is. Christian Kirk, again, as of late, really sketching me out, mainly because if Brian Thomas Jr., who is my favorite rookie, no cop-outs, does what he's supposed to, Christian Kirk, is gonna have a hard time seeing the field this year. We'll see. All right, Fasty says, in a 12-team standard, 6-point per passing touchdown. Let's see here. Keep 2. Jordan Love, David Montgomery, Puka Nacua, Tank Dell, Mark Andrews. If you're in a league where a lot of teams are keeping a quarterback, and let's say for example, you're in a league right now where nobody's keeping quarterback, right? And you're the first overall pick of the draft. I'm not keeping Jordan Love. I'd keep Puka Nacua and I'd keep Tank Dell and I'd draft a quarterback in the first. And it'd probably somebody better than Love. But if you know that everyone else is keeping quarterback and you're not the first overall pick and you can't kind of dictate what you're going to go with, kind of like your quote-unquote third keeper because you don't have that initial pick of the first round, then the conversation is probably just keeping Jordan Love with Puka and keeping it moving in that kind of capacity. Let's see here. Where the heck did that next question go? If Nacua and Kupp get the injury bug again, do you see Demarcus Robinson having a semi-breakout year? It's either Demarcus Robinson or the new rookie with the long hair. I forget his name for the Rams. That guy's been killing it in the preseason. Wouldn't surprise me if he works in as wide receiver 3. But yeah, if both those guys get injured, it's over. Like they're going to shut down Matthew Stafford. Like that's how bad it becomes. I don't see Demarcus Robinson or Tutu Atwell being able to carry this offense. Unfortunately, I don't see that. I think Demarcus Robinson, Tutu Atwell as the number 3 wide receiver are benefactors from the fact that Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua are pulling as much coverage as they are, and they're as big as threats as they are, that they allow the other options to get, easier coverage opportunities, via proxy of that. But let's hope neither of these things happen. Ryan says, I know you and some other analysts suggest quarterback in the first round in Superflex, but I feel like Christian McCaffrey and Dak/Murray at 1.4 is more sexy than Mahomes and ETN. If you can somehow, okay, hear me out, right? This is what I was mentioning earlier, right? I said, if you're able to select, because somebody asked this to me, like, should I take, because the previous question was, I have Breece Hall as my 3rd round keeper. I have the 1.01. Should I take Christian McCaffrey or should I take a quarterback, right? And my number one suggestion was primarily, if you believe a top 12 quarterback will return to you in the 2nd round, okay, by pick 24. If you believe that to be the case, then you should take Christian McCaffrey. Because I said I'd love to have Jaden Daniels as my number 1 quarterback with Christian McCaffrey and Breece Hall as my duo running backs. So in your scenario here, Ryan, if you're able to get Dak or Murray, which in my rankings, they're both top 10 wide receiver. They're both top 10 quarterbacks. Do it. Let's go for it. Absolutely. The primary fear, because of what my experience has been in my leagues, is that if you don't take a quarterback in the first, you have scraps by the time it gets to the 3rd. You really do. Like that 2-3 turn, you're in trouble. And you're gonna have to start Tua Tagovailoa every week. And, some people may think that's great, but last season he was averaging 15 points per game. The volume of times he put up less than 10 fantasy points was shocking. So, again, but yeah, if you can get a top 10 quarterback in that 2nd round in Superflex, take Christian McCaffrey. I have no issue with that. Kyle says, 3 wide receivers, 1 flex, picking out of the 1.6 position, planning on Chase or Brown. So, Jamar Chase or A.J. Brown for the first pick. Struggling to figure out how to play 2nd round. Looking at Henry, Pacheco, Achane, London, Olave, Marvin Harrison Jr. Yeah, if you're going to start wide receiver in the first, the only time I would ever take a wide receiver in the 2nd is if Marvin Harrison Jr. was available there. Let's say it's a 12-team league, you're at 1.06. If you grab Chase or Brown and Marvin falls to you, I have no problem going with Marvin there in a full PPR scoring format. Outside of that scenario, I would take Marvin. Yeah, I would. If you're deadlocked on trying to take a running back in the 2nd, then I just go Achane. Thoughts on Malik Neighbors? Daniel Jones is Daniel Jones. And what do we know about Daniel Jones? He is Daniel Jones. That's all. That really is what it is. Do I need to say more? Look, Daniel Jones is a quarterback that they have protected in the past by having a great running game in 2022 and allowing him to use his legs. They no longer have a great running game. And he's coming off an ACL injury. And we have seen it, time in and time out. Quarterbacks coming off of an ACL injury have significantly less rushing upside, especially if prior to the injury, they were a running quarterback and were able to get themselves 200, 300 plus rushing yards per season. So in this scenario, with less of a priority on the running game and him really just trying to survive and hope that his offensive line can hold up, we saw last season, the pieces of that offensive line fell apart relatively quickly. It takes 1 or 2 injuries, and Daniel Jones is cooked. And if he's cooked and he's seeing ghosts out there, Malik Neighbors could be in trouble. That's my primary fear. Okay, now that we've answered a lot of questions here, we've been here for about 40 minutes. I do want to go ahead and conduct the draft via Underdog Fantasy. For those of you who are interested, again, if you guys want to go ahead and join me, I'm going to be posting a link in the chat. We can draft a 12-team league. It'll be a quick draft relatively. It'll be a $3 buy-in. Again, for those of you guys who want to go ahead and take advantage of the opportunity as of right now for the remainder of the season, if you guys are interested in getting my 2024 fantasy football draft guide, the associated rankings with the draft guide that of course get updated weekly over the course of the entire month of August, and then additionally get sent weekly emails every single Sunday morning from weeks 1 through 18 that have positional rankings by tier, by position, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, kicker, defense, flex, half PPR, full PPR. All you got to do is head on over to Underdog, sign up using code Andrew. Additionally, all you got to do is make sure that, of course, you're eligible via the map on the screen based on your current location. Sign up, $10 deposit, you get all of that. So if you're interested, take advantage of the opportunity. There's more information regarding that in the chat below, but I'm going to go ahead and attached this link in the chat. If you guys are interested, you can join via the draft. We'll be drafting right now. I'll go ahead and pin the message as well. We did see a super chat come in from Speak Your Piece, who says, should I trade James Cook for Josh Jacobs? I would. Personally, I feel the threat of Josh Allen's rushing ability is significant enough to where it does impact James Cook to a negative factor. So in this scenario, yes, I have Josh Jacobs ranked higher than James Cook. I would trade for that. JT or AJ Brown at 1.09 half PPR, I take JT there probably. Kyle Fisher just asked, are we doing a mock draft? Yes, we are doing a mock draft again. If you guys are interested, click on the link. I know that YouTube just inserted an ad. Speak Your Piece. Did you end up seeing, I don't know if you got hit with the ad. I know like when YouTube live stream goes, it sometimes will hit random people with ads. I don't know if you were there or you heard my response. If you didn't, let me know. Otherwise, thank you very much again for the support. Again, just really quickly, while we're still on the subject of the Underdog draft that we're conducting in a minute, if you guys have already signed up using somebody else's code or my code in a prior season, the only other way to get my rankings and all of the different content, the draft guide, etc., plus would be Patreon. There's a link down in the description. Again, the number one, I guess, value besides the rankings every single week on Thursdays and Sundays is being able to ask me any question at any time of the day. Whatever you have, just send it to me. Instead of having to send in a super chat, every stream, you pledge the 1 month and then you consistently can send me questions, and probably is a better value proposition for those of you who are going to consistently be here in this realm. Thank you. Okay. Whittington, thank you. Bruin backhand. Clutching it up with the wide receiver name for the Rams that I was forgetting. Whittington. What does it say? Jalen Hurts, Ramondre, and Leggett for Derrick Henry. If I already have Richardson at quarterback, sure, let's do it. Absolutely. Do you think Puka is fully healed and ready to go for the season? I have no clue, but I'll call his doctor tomorrow morning. Is Marvin a reach at the 5th pick in the 2nd round, 12-man? Nope, I think it's perfectly fine. Are you going to be doing a mock draft? Absolutely. Click on the link that's right here, and we can join. There's already 4 of us in here. Let's see here. Thoughts on Brees or Bijan at the 1.02? Yes, tomorrow I'll have a video. Again, Brees Hall. If I ever have a choice in my upcoming drafts of taking Brees Hall or Bijan Robinson, not a single time will I ever take Bijan Robinson ahead of Brees Hall. Brees Hall is significantly far more equipped with the surrounding pieces, the offense, and how it is going to function for him to succeed. Additionally, he doesn't have Tyler Algier up his, digging into his work. Brees Hall, all day, every day. If you want more of an indicator as to why I feel so confidently saying that, there's about a 10-minute block in a video that I posted a couple weeks back. It's called Best Pick at Every Position. And for the first round, I picked Brees Hall. I talked about him for literally 10 minutes straight. If you want more context to really feel confident about it, that's probably the suggestion there. Charlene, what's up, man? Let's see here. 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex consisting of that, okay, and tight end, okay. Wide receiver, tight end, okay, very well. Defense and kicker, 7 bench spots, 10-man full PPR league. Your thoughts? Should I focus on running backs or wide receivers? Considering you can start 4 wide receivers technically, and it's a full PPR format, I think it's probably best to. I think you probably should just focus down on wide receivers and just consistently get a high volume of wide receivers early. Take running backs that have a lot of PPR upside, like Rashad White, Alvin Kamara's, those kind of guys, to where those can be your go-to backs. Now, if somebody is to fall to you in that 2nd round that shouldn't be there, you can grab that. But I think going heavy wide receiver is probably the plan of action with this kind of construction of that starting lineup that you can build. Okay, let me go ahead and all right, let me swap screens just so we're all on the same page here. Again, we'll be conducting a draft in just a moment here via Underdog Fantasy. Let's see. Where are we at? Okay, so there's a good amount of us in here. 6 of us total. We need 6 more and we'll be good to go. Thoughts on Gibby's injury? Mitchell, I'm not as concerned about it. Last season, he dealt with a hamstring injury during the season. He missed 2 games. So again, 2 weeks, and then was able to come back and be perfectly fine. So under the assumption that it's a very similar injury and it's not as serious as it was last season, I mean, really 2 weeks rest, which he has already gotten, is enough to where he'll be fine and ready to go by week 1. So I'm not too worried about the scenario. Let's see here. Linus says, I already drafted and I got offered a trade. Okay, very, very well. Where I'd be giving up Devontae Adams for Rashee Rice and Jordan Addison. What should I do? I'd rather have Devontae Adams. Keep Devontae Adams, please, and thank you. Whoever tried to give you Rashee Rice and Jordan Addison for Devontae Adams, I wouldn't trust them for the rest of the season. I wouldn't, because that's a shiesty trade right there. It really is. It's not the yeah. Let's see here. When should I draft a quarterback in a 2 QB league? It says John Doe 420. John Doe, I don't know how your league typically works, but I would suggest probably one. So this is the typical draft strategy I use. I had a video earlier last week in a Superflex format where my favorite approach going into 2024 in terms of building a team, assuming your league is going to be very balanced at quarterback and they're not going to barrel down and take 20 in the first 2 rounds, I'm typically going ahead and I'm taking a quarterback in the first, addressing wide receiver in the second, running back in the third, and then jumping back into the quarterback conversation once again in the fourth. The 5th round is very dependent on what is available. Considering you're playing in a super flex league and a lot of quarterbacks will be taken within the first couple rounds, it's going to shove down value. So you may be able to get one of those top 2 tight ends potentially if other quarterbacks have already been addressed. You could maybe get a top 3 tight end by the 5th if Mark Andrews is there. If not, you continue to kind of focus in on wide receiver if it's a 3 wide receiver league. Otherwise, jump into the running back conversation. Again, there's a lot of instructions and there's a lot of different ways that you can go about it, but in terms of the first 4 rounds, 2 quarterbacks, 1 running back, 1 wide receiver, pretty balanced in that sort. All right, the draft has begun, and I don't see me. I think I'm the last pick of the draft. I'm 1.11. Very well. So we'll see how this transpires, shall we? Okay, we had a super chat in from Kiwi. What's up, my man? Says, have you updated rankings or somewhere I can buy? Updated rankings, again, like I mentioned, it's either via Patreon, signing up, first time deposit minimum of $10 using code Andrew, or the other way, because you're from New Zealand, right? I would assume, Kiwi. The other way would be Patreon. So you can check that out and get the rankings there. Link also down in the description. Thank you. So let's go ahead and let's unpin that so we're good to go. And Matt Davis sent in a super chat. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it. Matt says, who would you target at pick 10 in a 12-team full PPR? So, for example, right, I'm in pick 11 here. It's not a full PPR, it's a half PPR, a little bit different. But typically pick 10, I would like to get Garrett Wilson in a full PPR format. If you can get Garrett Wilson and or AJ Brown, I'd be really happy about that. That's kind of the approach, because in the second round, getting one of those Gibbs, Kyron, Saquon, Taylor, maybe they drop to you. Getting one of those guys to accompany with Garrett Wilson, I think, is a really strong start. I want to see how you manage at 11th. I don't think this is going to be that bad. It's either I'm going double R. But look, here's the thing. When I draft here, and I'm going to cover my own draft, doesn't matter. I don't mind sitting here. When I sit at the 11th spot, it is the hardest spot of the draft from, right? Because you're either going double RB or you're splitting it, right? I don't know. I've done a couple drafts in which I take double wide receiver here. I don't know if I like taking Puka and Marvin Harrison. I don't know if I love that. Like if somehow we're going to get Garrett Wilson to drop to me at the 1.11, I'd be happy. But I don't know if I can trust Puka as my first round pick. Like I'd just rather go running back there, especially in a half PPR, especially. Let's see here. Diego in the chat says, hello, I want to draft Josh Allen. In which round / pick you think is a good pick for him? I think it depends what kind of a league you play in. If you play in a 12-team league, I have no issue with Josh Allen at the end of the 3rd round, beginning of the 4th round at all. If you play in a smaller league, 10-team league, I think you can get away with an earlier selection of him, potentially early 3rd. Primarily because it's a smaller league and you're still going to have pretty strong depth at all positions, regardless of the fact that you take him early. Because again, with 2 less teams potentially vying for selections, you're going to objectively just have a stronger team. So I don't mind with a 10-team league taking him earlier, potentially at the beginning of the 3rd. But otherwise, 12-team league, I'm kind of keying in on late 3rd, early 4th for Josh Allen this season. All right, let's see what's going on here. So yeah, this is what typically happens. The top 8 players go, as they should, because again, they are the top 8 for a reason. So the question is, where do we go? He likes Marvin Harrison. That's fine by him. In this position, like I was saying, oh man, Garrett Wilson. Yeah, look, in this scenario, I'll take my Garrett Wilson. And let me tell you why, okay? I will take any of these 3 running backs. I'll take any of these 3. I don't care which one lands in my lap. Even if this guy takes 2 running backs right here, if he takes Jahmyr Gibbs and then another running back, I don't care who lands in my lap here. I just wanted to ensure I got Garrett Wilson, and I do not care. Takes Barkley. Perfect. So I'll take Jonathan Taylor, and I will laugh to the bank. I have no issue with that at all. That's as good of a start as I could possibly have at the 111. Nor should I have gotten Garrett Wilson here. So let's say, for example, I didn't get Garrett Wilson here. And in fact, the number 10 pick went as such, and he took Garrett Wilson as he may have should have, okay? Maybe. It doesn't matter. We'll see. If Garrett Wilson goes here, in this position, I'm taking a running back, and in this position, I'm taking a running back. I'm doubling up on RB. But considering one of these wide receivers that I felt, justifies the selection, I'm willing to take that. I have no issue with it at all. Okay, getting back to answering questions. What are your thoughts on Brian Thomas Jr.? Really like him. He's my favorite rookie of the season. Does Derek Carr's poor play devalue Chris Olave? Yeah, absolutely. Listen, anytime a wide receiver is associated with a lesser quarterback, there's far more potential for disaster, under the assumption that there is a lack of opportunity. Like, even though Devontae Adams had Aiden O'Connell and Jimmy Garoppolo as his starting quarterbacks last year, because Devontae Adams got himself 180 targets, it didn't matter, right? Like, let me see this. If I go here, let's pull this up. Devontae Adams stats. What did we have last year? Obviously, he had 100 reception. We know that, but what was his target count? 175 targets. Like, when you have that high of a volume, that's the thing. For Olave to be a first round pick, he needs that kind of level of opportunity, or he needs Carr to play better. And which one's going to happen? I think I'd hope the opportunity of targets is going to be higher, rather than the potential of Derek Carr in his 11th year being able to get miraculously better. I don't know. I mean, it's tough. It's tough. What is this? Okay, nothing there. All right, let's see how this draft is going. We got an A.J. Brown, Puka Nacua stack. We have a Jefferson, Deebo Samuel stack. Very interesting. Nico Collins going in the 2nd round. That is very interesting, to say the very least. Devontae Adams in the back end of the 2nd round with a Breece Hall, I think is pretty powerful. It's pretty good value there. I'd rather have Devontae over Nico. I'd rather have Devontae over Deebo. Again, considering I assume we'll see Ayuk come back and play for the 49ers. Cooper Kupp in the beginning of the 2nd, I think, is far too early. But hey, there you go. Mike Evans. I think Mike Evans is a better pick than Cooper Kupp at the moment. But hey, either way, as long as you got one of the guys I was thinking of, that's fine. All right, answering some more of these questions before my 3rd round selection here. We have Kiwi Sports Mage, who says the following. What do I see at appreciation level of Patreon? The other options are already full. Okay, so there are 3 Patreon tiers. There's appreciation level, which literally you get nothing. It's literally 99 cents. It's $1. It's basically, as it says, if you just want to show your appreciation and donate $1 every month, there you go. The other tier that's retired, has been retired since August of 22 or July of 22. That is nothing. You can't access that. The primary tier for Patreon is the 2024 Fantasy Champion tier. That gets you everything. So that is the name of the one that you would theoretically go after if that's something that you're interested in. If you check out the website and you find that to be something of value for you, then you can make the pledge and subscribe there. If not, no problem. Are you avoiding DeAndre Hopkins this year? Yeah, probably. I'd rather have Calvin Ridley, because I know Calvin Ridley, how he's going to be used within the offense. Brian Callahan has come out, the primary play caller and head coach. And of course, former offensive coordinator of the Bengals. He came out and literally said verbatim, I'm going to use Calvin Ridley like he is the Jamar Chase of our offense. Beautiful. Love to hear it. Let's get it rolling, baby. Let's get it rolling. ETN in the 3rd is egregious. I'd just like that everybody know. ETN in the third is absolutely egregious. Should not happen. But so is life. I don't know what else to say. This will never happen in one of my leagues. It's impossible. Did I disconnect from the internet or this got taken forever? Brendan Ayuk, very well. I like Devontae Smith a lot. James Cook I like a lot. But the guy next to me already took 2 running backs, right? So quite frankly, I could go ahead and just take Laporta here, which at the end of this third round is pretty good value, and then wait on running back. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take Laporta. I'm going to just let this guy take whatever he wants. Don't really care for it. And we'll see how this kind of transpires. The fact that Kelsey went as early as he did, a little interesting, but I really do like Sam Laporta at the end of the third. The fact that I'm able to get these 3 picks, pretty happy about it. I just didn't want to give this guy the opportunity. Yesterday when we did a draft, I let the guy after me have an opportunity of taking Mark Andrews, and he did it. So I'm getting a little bit afraid of the potential. But either way, either of those running backs that were available, wide receivers, I'll take. It's not a big deal. All right, so the person next to me took Michael Pittman Jr. and DK Metcalf. Devontae Smith falls down to me once again. Jeez Louise, Papa Cheese. What do you guys want me to do? I thought picking at 1.11 was a disaster. As we can tell, I can confirm not a disaster based on what I'm looking at. I am more than happy with the team that I have here. More than happy. Jeez Louise, Papa Cheese. All right, getting back to answering questions. Let's go ahead and scroll my cheeks over here. Boom. Okay, moving on. Answering questions. Is taking Garrett Wilson 4th overall nuts? Yes, it is. Yes, absolutely. If Garrett Wilson right now was as talented as Devontae Adams was 3 or 4 years ago, which I think it'll take a couple more years for Garrett Wilson to get there, and of course the rapport to build with Aaron Rodgers. If that was the case, if Devontae Adams was on the Jets right now, he'd go 4th overall. But Garrett Wilson's different. It just is. Trevor in the chat says, are you still 100% on Josh Allen over Jalen Hurts in a 6-point per passing touchdown league? Yes, I am. Again, regardless of the fact that his weapons are not there, you have to understand that even last season, at the back end of the year, weeks, I think it was 10 through even the playoffs, Josh Allen very rarely used Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs. And even in the rarity in which he used them, I mean, again, he only targeted Stephon Diggs 8 times a game throughout that span of time. And Stephon Diggs was averaging like 4 receptions per game and 50 yards per game. Terrible numbers. Ultimately, he doesn't need those players. He doesn't. He could just live with wide receivers, and that's what's going to happen this year. And he'll prove everyone that he is an elite, he's an elite monster at quarterback. B for Work says, so glad to see you back, Andrew. You've been missed. I appreciate that. Thank you. Jody in the chat, Jody Garrison says, I get to keep Breece Hall at 1.12. Very well. PPR. Would you stack him with Wilson or too risky? Would you stack him with Wilson or too? I don't think. Okay, look. All right, hold up. If Aaron Rodgers tears his ACL or Achilles again, then look. Okay, here's the thing. Objectively, you should stack it. That being said, if the season comes down to Aaron Rodgers getting hurt or not getting hurt, I'm willing to take that gamble. If you're willing to as well, we'll take the journey together and we'll hope for a championship this year. But I think you should. Donald Smith in the chat says, Hard Knocks, Chicago Bears. Monsters of the Midway got me wanting all the hometown players. Yeah, I've stopped watching Hard Knocks over the course of the last couple of years. I watched the Hard Knocks that came out this offseason. It was like the New York Giants one. Damn, that was a very interesting case study of, I don't know if you guys watched that one. The GM of the New York Giants, I don't know if they portray. I mean, look, he made the actions he made. Patrick Mahomes in the 5th is nasty, disgusting, abhorrent. Wow. Anyway, I don't know the way that they portrayed the GM for the Giants. I gotta be careful what I say, but he didn't look like he was qualified for the job. Let's just put it that way. He didn't look qualified. He made there were some things that were said and done that, wow. Just wow. Andrew Keeley in the chat says, Will Levis having a big upside this season? People sleep on his running at Kentucky. Here's the thing about Will Levis, right? I'm worried. Um, Look, he's got a big arm, and that's great. I just don't know if against legitimate high-powered defenses, if he's capable of, like, if he plays Houston twice a year, can he survive the Houston heat? Like, not the heat of like the actual sun. I'm talking about that pass rush. Like, is his line, is the pieces that surround him good enough? Like, okay, sure, you got Ridley, you got Hopkins, you got Pollard, you got Boyd, but he needs time to throw the ball. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. They've definitely tried to address offensive line. How do you not take Stephon Diggs there? Where in the 4th round? I'd rather have Devontae Smith. I'd rather have Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith will be the Keenan Allen / CeeDee Lamb of the Philadelphia Eagles offense this year. I can hang my hat on that every night. With new Kellen Moore, offensive coordinator, it just makes my life easier to trust that. Okay, let's see what we have here. Quarterback, tight end has been addressed accordingly. This guy next to me is drafted pretty well. I like Marvin Harrison. I mean, look, Marvin Harrison at where it is, a little expensive, but Kyron into Brandon Ayuk, into James Cook. I think that's a pretty balanced team, to say the very least. I mean, the fact that I get to sit here and benefit from, let's see here, Montgomery, James I mean, look, ultimately, I like these players, but just give me Richardson. Like, at this point, let me just lock down all of the touchdowns in the Indianapolis Colts offense. That's it. Now, the reason why I feel as comfortable as I do taking Richardson here is because I'm getting him way later than I should. And additionally, the player that's picking after me here, what's their name? Bears Truther 25. Hopefully you're in the chat. Maybe you're in here. Already addressed running back twice. Even if they address it once here on this turn, even if they take running back here, I can live with that. But I'd probably look to draft the running back here on the turn. We'll have to wait and see how this transpires. Otherwise, I don't mind taking a wide receiver as it goes. Man, Brian Thomas Jr. going right before me. Is someone trying to purposely snipe me? What's going on here? Nails. Yeah, I see nails. Dalton Kincaid. I like that selection. Actually, it's pretty good. For where it is in the beginning of the 6th, that's pretty good. Look, I think I have a hard time not taking Montgomery here. Christian Kirk, Worthy, Keenan. Yeah, I mean, I'll figure it out with my wide receiver 3. I'll just take Montgomery to the bank. I have no issue with that at all. Just give me the touchdowns. Let's just keep it cooking, shall we? All right, getting back to some of these questions. We had Skills all day. Send in a super chat. Skills, thank you very much. Greatly appreciate the support. It says, pick 2 to keep Barkley, Adams, Puka, London. I have the number 1 keeper league, half PPR. You have the number 1 pick in a keeper league. Okay. If you get to pick 2 to keep, Adams, Barkley, Puka, London. Skills all day. Can you do me a favor and let me know how the keeper rules in your league work? Like, if you keep Puka and London this year, can you additionally keep them again next season? And then so on and so forth. Because considering you have the number 1 pick, the 3 that I want to keep there are Barkley, Puka, and London. So regardless of what you do, keep 2 of them and draft the other one in the first overall pick. Unless somebody else like McCaffrey is being uncapped. So if you give me a little bit more context, then I think we can get a perfect strategy as to how we go about it. The quarterback run has begun in round 6. The fact that somebody got CJ Stroud right here is gnarly. What is going on in this draft? What the dude? Okay, I thought Mahomes in the 5th was crazy, but Stroud in the 6th, whew, I don't usually see that. I see him in the back end of the 5th, but hey, I mean, I guess you can just fall a couple spots here. I mean, George Kittle went here, so maybe that's the reason why. Anyway, is Tyler Algier droppable off of my bench to pick up the Bills defense to stream in place of the Ravens in week 1? If you drop Tyler Algier, the guy who has Bijan Robinson is going to pick him up. So if you're okay with losing that value and the potential handcuff lottery ticket that kind of sits there, then you have to make that decision on your own. The Bills take on the Cardinals in week 1. I'd honestly just play the Ravens defense. I would. What are realistic numbers for Dalton Kincaid? I really love that question, JM. I think realistic numbers, no joke. 90 receptions, legitimately. 900 receiving yards, under the assumption that, again, he was a little bit less than 10 yards per reception last year, if I'm not mistaken. Let me actually go check this. Dalton Kincaid, what was his yard per reception average? It wasn't clean. Yeah, 9.2. So again, actually it was clean relative. So if he has 90 receptions, he increases his yards per reception average to 10 whole yards, 900 yards. And then let's hope that he gets a little bit more red zone utilization. Let's say he scores, I think, 6 to 7 touchdowns safe, okay? Doing the math on that, in a half PPR scoring format, we have 45 plus 90 plus 36. That's 171 fantasy points, which last season would have made him tight end, I want to say 2 or 3. Is that right? Maybe 4. Let's see here. Last season in a half PPR, tight end, last season would have made him tight end number 4 or 5. Either Hawkinson or him would have been number 4. So he's got the upside, right? That touchdown, that 5 touchdowns, whatever number ends up landing there, is pretty much going to determine whether or not he jumps into that top 5 conversation or is able to get there. But I think those are very realistic numbers across the board. And that's why I have him as my number 5 tight end, because I do think he's capable of it. Now, in a full PPR with 90 receptions, like, whew, this guy is going to be a machine. I mean, he had 73 receptions last year. We're only projecting 17 more. And I think that's realistic, but it's also maybe cutting him short in terms of what his legitimate potential is. Do you think Pitts can fill that Hawkinson role, but better? No, I don't think he's better than Hawkinson. I haven't seen Pitts play well enough to make me think he is better than Hawkinson at the current moment, prior to Hawkinson's injury. That being said, Hawkinson was like a 13 fantasy point per game guy in a half PPR. If Kyle Pitts is 10 points per game in a 17-game season, he's a top 5 tight end. That's it. So really, we don't need him to be Hawkinson. We need him to be 80%, 85% of Hawkinson, and then we're good. All right, I'm almost on the clock here. I've taken my second running back. I haven't addressed wide receiver in quite some time. There is some talent, but at running back, Jonathan Brooks always looks like could be a fun selection there. But considering what is available here, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, Ladd McConkey, there is a lot of talent. The question is, this is it right here. This is the make or break. Legitimately make or break. I'm going to take Odunze, all right? I'm going to give you I'm going to take Odunze. Am I? Sketchy pick. Yeah, F it. Let's take the Odunze. Whatever. Here we go. Take it. Let me give you the analysis, okay? The thought process. It may seem a little crazy, and I agree. Just even clicking that button made me a little bit sick to my stomach that I let Keenan Allen go. Whatever. If I get Keenan Allen in the next round, I'll take him. In regular draft, I don't want to stack multiple Bears wide receivers. Nonetheless, here's the thing. When we look at the history of first round selected wide receivers, specifically wide receivers selected within the first 10 picks of those rounds, the ability that we have seen from top 10 wide receivers, specifically in terms of success rates of being top 36 ranked, is a really high percentage. And the only time it ever happens where they miss it is when an injury occurs. So when I'm pretty much betting Keenan Allen versus Odunze, it is a sketchy kind of approach, but I think it's, oh my God, no way Tony Pollard's here. Oh my God. But it's one that I'm willing to take the risk on. I don't mind it. We'll see. It's my wide receiver 3 anyway. Yo, how did I get Pollard this late? What are we doing, guys? Pollard should go ahead as, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about a half PPR, I'm actually okay with where Pollard went. I'm glad that I kind of waited on that third running back, though. Kind of as my flex. Javonte, all right. So far, so good. I mean, I thought the 11 pick was absolute hogwash. Colin in the chat says, thoughts on Deontay Johnson. He's dealing with a little bit of an injury. If he's going to miss extended time, Xavier Legette is looking better and better as the days progress here. Drop Wicks for Brian Thomas Jr. I like that. That's not a problem at all. I have Brian Thomas Jr. about 20 to 25 spots ranked higher than Wicks this season. Rubik's Cube says, keeping Hall in the 6th round and Puka in the 11th. Have a pick 1.1 in the draft. Okay. Full PPR, 8-man league, 2 quarterbacks. Who am I taking with the first pick of the draft? Considering you're playing in an 8-man league and you can technically roster 4 quarterbacks, I don't know if you need to prioritize quarterback in the first round, even though it's a 2 QB league. That being said, if other people are keeping quarterbacks to the extent to where like top 8 are already gone, I think you at that point just take a wide receiver or a tight end, or sorry, wide receiver or a running back, and just keep it pushing. But as of right now, if nobody's keeping quarterback and you can get like a Josh Allen at 1.1 while still having Puka and Breece Hall, I'd have a hard time skipping out on that. But again, if a lot of people are like, if it's, let's say for example, 4 of the 8 teams are keeping a quarterback at that point, or if you know the quarterback position is not going to come off the board quickly and you can still get a top 12 player within the second round, just take a running back or a wide receiver in the first and then let it come back to you in the second. All right, so I was talking to Skills. Where does Skills go? Skills says, I took over the team, but from my knowledge, we keep them, but any player from the top 50 ADP, if capped, would lose a round where they would be normally drafted. Okay, so So Skills, with that context for your question of picking 2 to keep between Barkley, Adams, Puka, and London. If we're keeping Puka in London, you get Barkley at 1.01, right? And we don't really want to keep Barkley next year. He's going to be 28 years old at the running back position, not the most beautiful turnout. So I think that's how I kind of turn to it at the moment, at least. Spencer sent in a super chat. Thank you, Spencer. Says, great to see your content on the feed. Andrew, will you be dropping PPR rankings for wide receiver, running back before the season starts? Okay. When you say before the season starts, the answer is yes. But as for before the season starts, I would say this week I'm putting out updated rankings starting tomorrow with running back, wide receiver, tight end, quarterback, and then flex. Next week, I'll have updated rankings for full PPR. Okay, so starting next Thursday, maybe the 29th, the 30th, 31st, top 45 running backs, top 45 wide receivers, top 60 flex, maybe even more. So next week, definitely before the season starts, but could be a little bit too late, but hopefully the half PPR rankings would suffice. Otherwise, check out the Patreon, Underdog, all that kind of jazz. Thank you. All right, let's see here. Where's the picks gone here? Keenan Allen went here. That's not a problem. A lot of running backs taken. I'm glad I got my Pollard when I did as my third running back. Chase Brown, Tyjae Spears. A little bit of a nice combo there, honestly. Singletary going as late as this is very interesting. Jerome Ford, I have him relatively higher ranked than Zach Moss, but hey, it is what it is. We keep it moving. Degenerate Speculator says, nervous on Josh Jacobs and Pacheco, closer than people think in a half PPR. Yeah, they are. They're literally back-to-back ranked in my rankings for a reason. I think they're very similar in terms of potential production this year. In terms of the way that my algorithm spits it out, in terms of actual legitimate projected stats, they're within 5 to 6 fantasy points of another. So really, if you score one touchdown this way or you fumble the ball a couple times that way, they're even. All right. Anyway, I'm on the clock. Let's figure out what I want to do. I want to probably select a wide receiver just to give myself a little bit more depth. I really do like the Cortland Sutton approach here. I think Cortland Sutton's kind of being slept on. And additionally, on top of that, I think that Bo Nix might not be bad. Now, I understand he's only played in the preseason, but he's not going to be the worst. I think he'll protect the ball. He'll give his team chances. And ultimately, he knows how to, target Cortland Sutton. I think he'll figure out how to use his number one wide receiver, hopefully. Nye Television says, hey, Andrew, just signed up for your Underdog. Use the code and don't see the draft guide email. So if you've used the code and then you made the first-time deposit that's minimum of $10, you should then receive an email from Underdog themselves that includes a link that leads you to the draft guide. Now, if you do not receive that, oh, shoot, I'm on the clock again. One moment, please. Did Eckler really just go? Okay, Eckler's gone. Ty Chandler. Yep. Hollywood Brown's still available. Nuke Hopkins. Khalil Shakir. Lockett. Let's go with Jacoby Myers. Forget about it. All right. Anyway, so if you use the code, you make the first time deposit. Within, I want to say, 10 to 30 minutes, Underdog will then, their system will realize that you're now in the system, and it'll send you the email. So it will come from Underdog. If you don't receive that within the 10 to 30 minutes, as soon as I'm done with the live stream, I get an update in probably like an hour or two, after which that update comes to me and I have the updated list of people who I can send the rankings to that have signed up. I will send it directly to you. I'll send you the link to the draft guide, and I'll additionally send you the most updated rankings in an Excel sheet, so that you can utilize that. It's positional rankings, and it also has a cheat sheet at the end so that you can use it when you're drafting. So if it doesn't come in within the next 10 to 30 minutes from Underdog themselves, I will send it to you later tonight, okay? Thank you again for signing up and supporting. Thank you. Okay, we've been here for about an hour and a little bit more time. Probably at 8 p.m. here in about 13 minutes. As soon as this, well, you know what? I'm probably going to just do this. I'm going to move on away from this draft. Somebody take Josh Palmer, or otherwise I'm doing it in the next round. I'm going to go ahead and just answer more questions until the stream ends. Again, I do appreciate you guys coming through, supporting the channel, clicking the like button. Of course, just participating in terms of asking questions and keeping this fun. I appreciate that. For those of you who have participated in the draft the last couple of days, greatly appreciated that as well. Hopefully I can continue to live stream. Maybe we can do this tomorrow night as well, and I'll just continue to keep a streak of just live streaming every day. And maybe we go and do this for the remainder of the season. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Either way, appreciate it. Let's answer questions, and then we'll go ahead and head out in about 12 minutes. Okay, so barreling down on questions here. Finally caught up to live. Hi, Andrew. I've ran a lot of mock drafts, but I'm unsure of who the most likely options are at the 8th in a 10-team league. Our league is a half PPR, 2 running backs, 2 wide receiver, 1 quarterback, 1 tight end, 3 flex, kicker, defense, redraft. Very well. So board action. The most likely that is going to be available at the 1.08 is one of either 2 players, Bijan Robinson or Justin Jefferson. So one of those 2 players will be available. As to how you want to build your team in a half PPR, I could support either of the 2 selections, quite frankly. I do technically have a preference, but it's not strong enough for me to sway one way or the other. Going into the second round, if you like the available wide receivers and or you prefer the available running backs, I think that can kind of dictate your selection. So at 1.08, if you're like, man, I really like those second round running backs, and because it's a 10-team league and I can get away with it, maybe I go double RB. I take Bijan in the first, maybe Kyron in the second, and then I can address wide receiver in the third and fourth. Or you can be more balanced. Start with Jefferson in the first, take a running back in the second like a Kyron. Then once again, you can either address running back, wide receiver, just depends on who's available in that third, and just play it balanced accordingly. But ultimately, I would go ahead and venture to say Bijan or Jefferson are going to be available there. Drew says, hey man, love the vids. I play in a 10-team full PPR league, 6 point per passing touchdown. I have the 7th pick in the draft. If I draft a skill position in the first round, do I jump on Mahomes, Allen, Hurts in the second round? Yes, please. I would. Again, I'm telling you, if you get one of those top 3 guys, it's going to pay dividends. It's so ridiculously valuable in a 6 point per passing touchdown league to have a quarterback of that caliber. It really is, especially when we're talking about those 3 guys that very rarely get injured and are by far and away not only the most productive, but the most consistent quarterbacks in the NFL. So yes. Skills per day says, Puka in London, appreciate your feedback. Trust it since you're not, thank you very much. Again, listen, the reason why we're specifically keeping Puka in London in your scenario is because, quite frankly, am I almost on the clock here? I am. Because quite frankly, the thing is, if you're keeping them and you're keeping them around ahead of where they were the year before, because you got Puka off of the waiver wire and probably you drafted London late, where they're being kept in terms of rounded, in terms of the rounds in this, in your future kind of keeper league, 2025, 2026, etc., you're going to get more value by keeping them now rather than keeping Barkley, which again will eventually run out of time because I'm on the clock. I think I want my second tight end here. I'm going to take Hawkinson and hope that he comes back and just balls out. Okay, moving back. Moving on. We had a keeper league, half PPR, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers. Pick 3 to keep. Brees, Puka, Laporta, Achane. All right, here's my thought process. I probably keep Brees, I keep Puka, and I keep Achane. Let me tell you why. Of those 3, they are the 3 most valuable as of the draft board as it currently stands. Additionally, they are the 3 both of them all three of them belong to the two most valuable positions in fantasy football right now, right? There can be an argument as to the value of tight end, but quite frankly, as it currently stands going into 2024, lesser valued. This all being said, when you're able to keep these three and then additionally have them for multiple years, and then on top of that, because of how valued wide receiver running back are, you still have a chance to get Laporta. If you didn't keep one of these three players, they're gone in the first round. They're gone. You don't even have a chance to grab them. Laporta, you legitimately do have a chance. Am I on the clock again? I am. What did we do? We took a tight end last time. Now we'll go ahead and we'll take I'll take Brandon Cooks. I don't have a problem with that. I think it's fine. If CeeDee Lamb wants to take the month off, that would be nice for our draft there. Before Work says Dynasty. Okay. Half PPR. What would you pick at the 1.06 best available player? Rookie only draft. Oh, it's a rookie draft? Rookie only draft. 1.06. Okay, so under the assumption that Marvin Harrison's number 1, Malik Neighbors is number 2. Probably a dude. Oh man. Okay. Look, it's going to take me forever to even get to that answer. Adunze's 3. What the heck is 4th? I'm trying to think here. Who goes 4th? Is it Jonathan Brooks? And then 5th is someone like Xavier Worthy, maybe? 6th at that point, Brian Thomas Jr. Thoughts? Concerns? I have no concerns with it. Let's see here. Thank you, Skylar. Let's see here. Where are we at? Hey, Andrew, would you take Hurts over Richardson if he's available? Yes, I would. Thoughts on the Bills' offense this season and Josh Allen? Is it worth the draft pick or wait on a later quarterback? He is worth the draft pick. Yes, he is. That is my opinion. I believe Josh Allen is the greatest quarterback in fantasy football history, and he'll continue to prove that he is as such. And when I say that, I don't say it with any hyperbole or any hyperbolic emphasis. I legitimately know by statistical evaluation that he is the best quarterback in fantasy football history, and he'll continue to be. 3 wide receiver league, no flex as well, Andrew. Where is that for? I don't even know where that is. Speaking of this area, you've answered at least one question I've had every year for the last few years. Thank you for this. No problem, Rubik's. Listen, guys, literally, I try to live stream just to answer questions. Like, if you send in a super chat, great. But ultimately, I'm just going to try to answer as many as I can because I know. And trust me, there's how many of us in here today? There's 240. Give it 3 weeks, and on a Sunday morning, there's going to be 1,300 of you in here, and I won't be able to answer any of the chat questions. Because if I don't do this now, when are we going to do? We won't. What do I do? Sorry, what do you do in the offseason? Would you ever consider covering fantasy baseball? Never. I don't play baseball. I've never played baseball IRL. I have no idea how the game even works. Would I consider it? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't consider it. But thanks for the question, JRR tokens. Is Waddle and Cobb at 2.11, 3.0 too big of a reach? No, that's fine. Waddle's fine there. Cup at 3.01, 3.02, I'm okay with. Waddle at 2.11, look, he has the potential. He really does to being a top 12 wide receiver. He can very do it. He just needs to stay healthy all year, and he can do it. He really can. All right. A couple more questions here. Cooper or Debo? Debo. Yeah, Debo. Bijan should be going before that. Before what? 1.08? In a half PPR? He should, but I don't think he will. Andrew, just sign up for Underdog. What is the best advice on how to approach the best ball differently than traditional? Look, here's the thing. I will never tell you that I am a best ball god. I'm not. I don't even draft that many best ball teams myself. I like to draft via Underdog just to participate with you guys, and then additionally just to get a little bit of experience prior to my drafts. Otherwise, I don't play for like big money. I don't join the $1,000 leagues. I don't do any of that. Like, I think it's just, it's not really my style per se. Like, I'm looking at my Underdog account and I've drafted a lot of teams. I honestly just like pick'ems. That's why I play Underdog. Like, drafts are great. Don't get me wrong. Like, if we go right here, I'm still in this draft. Like, I'm still drafting here right now. I'm up for the next selection here. And who's on the board here? Let's see. McLaughlin, I like. Michael Wilson, Ricky Pearsall, Adam Thielen, Rashad Bateman, Tolbert Robinson. I want a second quarterback. Yeah, we'll go for Aaron Rodgers. Okay. So yeah, look, I couldn't even give you advice on best ball. I'm not a best ball fiend. There are many out there that are far more successful than me that evaluate week 17 matchups in order to determine, who they draft and all this kind of guys, listen, I'm a redraft guy. That's what I am, and I will continue to be. If time changes, maybe I can, alter differently, but yeah, I'm not a best ball guy. I'm just here to have fun. Let's see. I only have 3 running backs. Probably need to address another one here. Probably Jaleel McLaughlin if I had to make a pick. Yeah. I'll take McLaughlin here. Put this on my queue. Okay, answering a couple more questions before we head out here. Bro, who do I pick at 6 in a PPR 10-man league? At 6, if Breece Hall's available, take him. Otherwise, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Actually, if Amon-Ra's there, I take him. But yeah, Breece Hall probably is going to be there. Hey, Andrew, I have the 4th pick of the 10 team, assuming I get Hall in the 1st. What is the play for the next 3 picks? Running backs are valued heavily in this league. If that's the case, then you take a running back in the 2nd, and then you go double wide receiver in the 3rd and 4th. But I think it depends, right? Here's the thing. If you're at pick 4 and you take a running back in that 2nd round, yeah, it's probably smart to take running back in that 2nd round. Let me tell you why. So if you're pick 4, so let me pull up this board just to give you an example. If you're pick 4 here, theoretically, right? And you take Breece Hall here, and you have a Tyreek Hill and a CeeDee Lamb at 2 and 3, and you have a Christian McCaffrey here at 1. This Tyreek Hill and this CeeDee Lamb team have to address running back within one of these, or individually, one of their 2 draft spots. They have to. If they do not, especially in a 2 wide receiver league, they're making a horrible mistake. So theoretically, you should probably take Breece here. If a running back that is still here is of value, like an ETN, I mean, again, don't look at this draft board. This is absolute malarkey. If ETN is available here, you can take him and then scoop back a wide receiver in this 3rd round. That's probably the best plan of action, and then wide receiver in the 4th, or potentially tight end. It just depends on what is of value and available. Okay, anyway, moving on. Let's go ahead and let's swap screens here, answer a couple more questions, and we'll be done. Are we doing another draft today? Probably not. Got to go work on tomorrow's video, get everything ready to go, recorded, edited, and presentable. I said preventable, presentable. This draft went pretty well. Garrett Wilson in the 1st, Jonathan Taylor in the 2nd, Laporte in the 3rd, Devontae Smith 5th, Anthony Richardson, Montgomery, Adunze, Pollard, Sutton. I'm not even mad at it. That's I'll take it. Evans or Nico Collins, I'll take Evans. If Christian McCaffrey, if I get Christian McCaffrey as the 1st pick, who should I be eyeing with my back-to-back picks in rounds 2 and 3 in a standard league? You would probably want to get at least one running back there in that 2nd round, and then probably a wide receiver. Who are you specifically looking for? Again, it's going to be tough for me to guess who's available, but let's say this is a standard league and the running back position is heavily valued. If somehow, some way, a Pacheco falls to you in that 2nd/3rd turn, get him on roster. I think that's something. And then honestly, if you want to just balance it out with a wide receiver, I can assure you that the name right here, Mike Evans, will probably be available in that 3rd round, and you might want to also invest in that. Very, very high touchdown potential. Thoughts on Deontay Johnson? We talked about it earlier again. Specifically addressing your question, Colin. If Deontay Johnson is injured and he's going to miss significant time or whatever the heck that injury is, it only just recently popped up. If it's something serious, that's not good. Otherwise, I really do think Deontay Johnson's a top 36 wide receiver this season. Andrew, in round 3-4, wide receiver dead zone, give me Josh Jacobs and Kenneth Walker at the turn. Is round 3-4 wide receiver dead zone? I mean, it depends. It depends. If you're playing in a league that drafts a lot of wide receivers relatively early, I'd say that yes, there's a potential of it being a dead zone, but I don't think that it's objectively a dead zone. Look, you look at it right now, and we think, man, we don't love anybody in that spot. But I love Devontae Smith. I love Jalen Waddle. Like, if we can get these guys, let's do it. But otherwise, yeah, it's tough. All right, guys. I think that's where I'm going to call it. I do appreciate y'all coming through. Of course, supporting the channel. Again, if you guys want my rankings, my draft guide for this season, you can either sign up via Patreon using code Andrew, first time deposit minimum of $10. You'll get that sent to you. etc. Additionally, if you've already signed up via my code or somebody else's code over the course of the last couple of years prior to this season, you can also check out Patreon. The base tier is called the 2024 Fantasy Champion. You get the draft guide, you get the updated rankings, you get weekly rankings over the course of the season. You can ask me any and all questions. We can talk about draft strategies. You get access to the private Discord server. There's a lot of things that you'll have available. It only just continues to ramp up as we get into the season. So if you're interested in that, be sure to check it out. I do appreciate you all coming through this afternoon. I know it's a later stream in terms of especially those of you in the East Coast, but greatly appreciate it. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and head out and get ready for tomorrow's video. I'm cueing the music, and until next time, I'll see you guys. Have a good night. Peace.